for our Candid Conversation that we have every Thursday at 1 o'clock, and it is a collaboration between Action Coach Limited and the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. My name is Ian Nita, and from the Action Coach we have Arlene Martin.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay. And Arlene, you want to tell us who we have on today?
Yes. So today we have for you tourism, so important right now in Jamaica, particularly in light of, well, you know, what everyone is talking about, COVID and what has been happening. So today we have Nicola Madden-Greig, and she's the Group Director for Marketing and Sales for the Courtleigh Group. And we also have Robin Russell, and he's the General Manager for Deja Resorts, which is based in Montego Bay. We have to mention, maybe we just mention it now, also representing Pier 1. So we'll just mention that. Robin is also, yes, the president of the Montego Bay chapter of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association. And I think everyone knows that Nicola Madden-Greig is immediate past president, GHT, and she's also now a representative for the Caribbean Hotel and Tourist Association. So very good representation today to talk about tourism from different perspectives. So welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us.
And Ali, maybe we should just kick off. It's woman time all over the world. So I want to kick off with Nicola.
Yeah,
sure, Nicola, most countries have closed their borders to visitors, and how do we run a tourism industry when borders are closed internationally?
Yes. Well, it's not an easy undertaking, obviously. We closed our borders in March and reopened on the 15th of June. As you said, some of the other tourism on our major markets are still having challenges in their own countries. Our source markets, USA, Canada, the UK in particular, are having high incidence, more so the US, which is our major market and represents about 68% of our regular tourist arrivals. And so what we are trying to do is maintain an open border policy since opening on June 15th, but putting in place some very stringent protocols. So all of our hotels, attractions, our transportation providers, everyone had to undergo a series of protocols that the Tourism Product Development Company came in and certified us, and ensuring that we at the ground level ensure that we mitigate against COVID. Obviously at the airport, and we have a very good pre-testing and screening process through the visitjamaica.com website, where persons have to go on and give details about their history, the kind of exposure they may or may not have had. And for the high-risk states in the US, you are required to do a pre-test, an actual COVID test, before coming on island. So it's really about a very comprehensive mitigation strategy, combining different elements, screening, testing, ongoing sanitation, having our team members also trained and going through all the protocols, having the PPEs in place, and also communication. So through our registration process, our website, through everything with the guests, so they can understand that when they come to Jamaica, they have to, mask up, social distance, and, make sure that they follow all the protocols that we have in place. So it's a bit challenging, but with the US, as I said, particularly, they are being allowed to travel. They're being banned by a lot of other countries. So we are a nearshore destination, so it makes it better for Jamaica as a potential venue. The UK and Canada still requires a 14-day quarantine when persons return. So we're seeing less traffic, and the airlift from there is not as robust as from the US market. But we are getting there, slowly but surely.
Okay.
Nicola, the one protocol though that may be a big challenge is the one that requires a quarantine for 14 days. How do you run an industry where your visitors, typically their stay is a week, 10 days? How do you implement that?
For visitors staying on the 14 days, they actually do not have to quarantine for the full 14 days. What they are required to do is what is called a stay-in zone, which is actually meaning that once they have been admitted to the country, they have to stay in the hotel. So they can enjoy the facilities, whether it's an EP hotel, a room-only hotel like Robin's, or if it's an all-inclusive hotel or a villa or a guest house, they are required to stay on property. Currently, that's the order. There has been some discussion, and we had a brief window where persons were allowed to go out to very specific attractions. That was reversed recently because some reconsideration was given, but we're still trying to see how we can, with the resilience corridor, which you're aware of from the Grill to Port Antonio, ensure that guests can traverse from a COVID certified hotel or accommodation to a certified attraction using a certified transportation provider. So those are the kind of 3 nodes that we're working with and seeing how to manage COVID and manage the interaction and limit any interaction with the local population. And of course, as I said, our staff are trained. They have to follow certain protocols to ensure that when they come into work, they can go home and they will not, be putting any risk on their community as well.
Okay.
Good. And Robin, just to come in on the same topic, do you think that there's a possibility for Jamaica to carve out a niche as being a safe destination based on all the actions that we've taken?
Of course. Part of what the protocols tried to enforce was that it kept people safe. At the heart of all the protocols was keeping your guests safe, keeping our staff safe, and keeping Jamaica safe on a whole. So if we can provide a safe vacation, then we definitely be, a demand location across the Caribbean or even across the world. We have proven with the protocols that we can treat persons who are infected and not transmit it to the staff or even Jamaicans on a whole. I think the protocols have worked. I know that Nicola sat on some of those committees with the Ministry of Health, and a lot of work was done in putting these protocols together. And that was the main focus of it, just the safety of the people on a whole.
Okay.
Okay.
And what are we beginning to see now in terms of the results of that, in terms of the numbers? So it's clearly representing that there is an increased trust in the product. I know there was a lot of domestic travel just on the weekend. I'll ask you both to comment on that in terms of what you've seen. But how are we seeing that now in terms of change in numbers, bookings, increasing? What are you seeing, Robin? And then after you, Robin, Nicola, what are you seeing at your properties?
Well, when we opened, there was a spike, or there was some confidence that persons were coming to Jamaica. There was a pent-up demand for Jamaica.
Yes.
As Ian had mentioned, the stay in hotel zone did create a lot of cancellations. So persons don't want to come to Jamaica and be stuck in a resort. We are a destination more than a hotel. We even saw for that very short period a spike in our bookings when people were able to now go into the corridor and visit the attractions, visit the restaurants, because it's not just attractions that were certified by TPDCO. Restaurants, shopping, just a variety of stuff were certified by TPDCO. And we saw an upsurge in bookings. Now, since the restriction is putting back on, we are seeing queries. We haven't actually gotten a lot of cancellations, but we have gotten no queries, questions. How does this thing really work? Is it back to 14 days? Would we be stuck in a property? And for a smaller property, although we are all-inclusive, we don't offer the same amenities as a large property. So we are across from the beach. You have to go to the beach. We don't have the children, the swings and the bells and the whistles as a large resort. So smaller resorts are more affected by persons being quarantined to that zone on the property.
Okay, thank you. And Nicola, for you?
Yeah, as Robin said, we started to see an uptick in stopover arrivals in June and then again in July. Still not the numbers we were hoping for yet, but obviously some of that is impacted by external factors, things outside of our control. But it is a bit challenging in terms of really seeing how we go forward. In terms of the local domestic market, we have been getting support from Jamaicans who are taking their staycations. So really happy for that, as you know, we've long promoted staying experience in Jamaica, and now under the Rediscover Jamaica campaign, you know, taking that holiday in Jamaica. And a lot of people have been doing that over the years. So let's not say that it's a recent development.
Yes.
But it's even, I guess, more people having not been able to travel. We have surely seen it at our resort in Montego Bay, which is Holiday Inn, and even at the Jamaica Pegasus, which persons in Kingston have, you know, come in, and we had a great emancipation and independence brunch, and we got a lot of people taking that up. Persons just staying over the weekend, just, you know, getting a break from being at home and having to cook and clean and do all of that. So taking that, you know, a little time off, and maybe also some couples, you know, taking that opportunity to leave the kids with the grandparents or the auntie or uncle, and then also taking the time to book into a hotel. But it's picking up slowly but surely, and a lot will depend on how much we can maintain, you know, the communications. As Robin said, people are calling and querying. The more they know in advance, and if the protocol stays in place longer. So if I know today when I check the protocol, it's going to be in place for the next 2 months, because, you know, the booking cycle for us in travel is really in that 3-month window. It used to be longer, but now with COVID, it's getting shorter. But roughly between that 1-2 month, people are looking, they're exploring, they're seeing what is it that is required for me to come before they book. So we need them to have confidence in that what I see when I shop and I make that decision, okay, I'm going to come to Jamaica, that when they actually book, that the day before they travel, you know, they don't get a different protocol. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's hard because, you know, we can't track this disease at all. But we have been working with the Minister of Tourism. As Robin mentioned, I sit on the task force, and the Ministry of Health. And a lot of effort goes into thinking out these scenarios and trying to figure out how best to respond. And it's not easy, but we have, you know, tried to do it to the best of our ability, and recognizing that Jamaicans are still concerned, and we definitely want to be able to open safely, and as I say, live safely with COVID. At the same time, returning to work, the hundreds of thousands of tourism workers, you know, we have like over 350,000 workers, direct and indirect, that are affected by, you know, the shutdown from tourism. So getting those persons back to work, getting into the communities, it's not just, you know, the hotels, the attractions, the transportation providers, but it's all the suppliers to the industry, all the spin-off industries. Some you don't imagine, you know, accounting, banking. You know, people say, really? Yeah, they benefit from tourism. Yes, manufacturing, agriculture, you know, all these other linkages that feed off of tourism. Not to mention, tourism is the largest US dollar earner. So if we're not bringing in the US, then that puts pressure on the supply of US in the system. And that impacts people who are trying to get US to purchase items overseas, and put pressure on the dollar. So the whole thing works together. And I think we're recognizing more so, a lot of people are recognizing now more so than any other time, how deep the linkages of tourism goes, and the impact and that tourism has.
Okay. Speaking of the linkages, just a quick question for Robin. I'll probably feel it a lot there in Montego Bay. And speaking now more broadly for tourism in Montego Bay, representing the chapter now, wearing that hat, what has been the extent of it, just from the sense? Naturally, you don't have to get into numbers, but what are you seeing? You're ideally located, you just cross the street literally from your door to the entrance to Doctor's Cave Beach. There are restaurants, you have shopping, it's a whole strip of shopping there. What are you seeing? How are people feeling this now in Montego Bay?
You know, the first thing is we miss Sumfest. You know, we use Sumfest as a major earner during that period, that 2-week, 3-week period before, after, during Sumfest. You know, we get a lot of visitors from all over the island and abroad. So we've missed that opportunity. We have seen where shops have opened, the restaurants have opened, even with the limited times, and we're looking forward to visitors coming out and coming to these, because as much as we want to say Jamaicans can do staycations and they can support the business, some of these business actually have to have the tourism mass to be successful. And it's been challenging. I've seen where Pier 1 has really ramped up their their takeout. They've catered to tourism.
Okay.
They've limited their seating, so it's not that bad. We've lost the cruise ship industry, and just everybody is challenged. So I would think everybody is running in Mobe at between 20 and 30% of what they would have normally done during this period. Tourism, we thought tourism was just winter, but over the years, we've developed a very strong summer business.
True.
Between June and that August, before back to school, and it's just very kind of quiet now.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, this COVID-19 virus has hit us really hard, has hit this industry extremely hard. It has almost caught us off guard, I think. And I'm wondering if we are investing now some thought into how we diversify our risks going forward. The domestic tourism, I know you need the mass, and we can't survive on the domestic tourism, but I took advantage of a couple of the offers in the domestic tourism. I've never felt so appreciated as a Jamaican visitor. All of it, it almost felt like, hey, I'm, you're COVID-free, one, and two, you're spending some dollars with us. And I just hope that we can continue this trend of appreciating Jamaicans as an important source. It's going to be a small part of the revenue, but it's an important part. But are we thinking about any diversification to the way we do business, to the offering? I mean, we depend a lot on events like a Sumfest, but we can't afford in the future for any single event to kind of throw us off like this. Are there any thoughts around diversification?
I mean, I hear you, but this is unprecedented. This is not just a Jamaica situation. This is a worldwide. Every single tourism dependent nation, or even if it's not even dependent, is struggling with those questions. You have to look at it. We had over 4.4 million arrivals last year. So, as you said, the domestic market definitely can't support the industry to the extent to be able to replace that business.
No.
In terms of going forward, the good thing is tourism is extremely resilient. So if they have control over COVID, we hear vaccines being thrown around here and there. But if we do get to the place where it's more than manageable, then the pent-up demand, the kind of brand Jamaica quality that we have, I do think we will see a really good uptick and continued growth. But in terms of diversification, yes, people are looking at that. They're looking at the way they do their business. Surely cost control is one of the measures that everybody is. If you never did it before, you're going to be a genius in cost control.
Every industry.
To no revenue, so you have to find every way to do it. So people are re-engineering their businesses. They are looking at new business models. Some persons I've heard talking about converting sections of their hotel. So we even have been looking at new business models and seeing how we can change some of our product offerings, at the same time looking at new markets, because while it's a slow thing, we moved away from the US being about 80% of our market share as a country. And because some years ago we realized we had to be less dependent on the US market and shifted down to the 68% that we are now and diversified into other markets, that process has to continue, because different markets may be impacted by different things. Right now it's a worldwide impact, but we've had in the past 9/11, we have had the financial meltdown, different things that have happened with different markets. So diversification is key. And some of the smaller players I know are looking at long stay and, using their property for different types of events. The promoters and the entertainment industry has been particularly impacted, and they drive a lot of business to tourism. Also groups and conventions. So that's one that's going to be challenging to change.
Definitely.
Some of what we have been utilizing as a company at our Kingston properties is hybrid events. So before you would have, like a big trade show or conference and everybody comes there. Now, because of where some people may not want to travel, you're doing hybrid events where you have it in person, yes, but then you're also streaming it online and having some sessions online and some things, in person. So you can get a wider audience, but at the same time, still have your event. So, and still make money off of it.
Yeah.
So, it's also for the partners, the corporate companies locally, to think about that from the meeting and conventions point of view, because that's a big segment for Jamaica in terms of traffic. How do we get back meetings and conventions to Jamaica, but maybe using a hybrid methodology and not just all trying to do everything online? Because, a very large event is difficult to sometimes
do online.
Right. So we have to get confidence in the protocols, confidence in what the hotels can deliver, the convention center, the various corporate hotels, the hotels in Montego Bay that do meeting and events and incentive travel, and working out new ways of being able to offer that service.
Okay. And what were some of your responses, Robin, in terms of just amendments, designing packages, duration? And if you could speak about Deja Resort, but also some of the changes. You started mentioning a couple of them about Pier 1, but some of the things that are happening there as well.
One thing Nicola mentioned, which profitability hides inefficiency. You're profitable and you're not even realizing that your light bill is just way out of control because you're able to pay. So we've had to look at every detail of our organization and finding ways to make it work, because we had zero revenue when the airports closed. Some people will say, oh, we were able to operate with something. We had zero, most of us, and we were closed, but we still had these staff bills. Some of us were still carrying our staff. Some of us were, electricity. We still had maintenance to do. So it was hard. And we have adjusted. I opened my hotel with 5 rooms with 1 staff. Those are just some of the stuff we had to do. A bed and breakfast. Look, this is what we're going to do. Who can come, who can't come, but just being honest with how we were putting it forward. We've seen where Pier 1 has done the same thing. You started where you were restricted to 20 persons and you opened with 20 persons, but then you limited your staff, you turned off your cold rooms that you didn't need, and you adjusted to what you were able to do. You started to do more takeout. And some of that model we're hoping to carry through after COVID. We've set up an entire takeout menu. We've set up a menu online that you can literally order your food online. It goes straight into the POS. You can pay for it and then you just come and say, my name is Robin. And so, you had to innovate while you were in this position. At Deja, it's contactless check-ins. So persons just come pick up their keys, go straight to their rooms.
Yes.
You've just literally, no more buffets. So you had to retrain your staff in a la carte. So it's been a challenge in retraining your staff in not only protocols, but just a new way of doing business, more efficient.
I wonder if Nicola, can you speak to the visitor experience during this period? I know, for example, you sell Kingston as a capital of culture and all of that, but they don't get that now. They can't go out. What are you selling?
Well, we're selling it in
the few that are here.
Let me tell you. All right. So All right, I'll use Jamaica Pegasus. You know, I have 3 hotels in Kingston: Courtleigh
Yes.
Hotel and Suites, Knutsford Court, and Pegasus. So let's use Pegasus as an example. For as I tell you, emancipation, independence, we done up the hotel in all the colors. We had mentor band. We had, you know, real Jamaican buffet with the hot chocolate and, you know, everything.
Nice.
We now have a display in the lobby of art and cultural items. We've done in partner with JCDC. At the different events, we brought in craft vendors so people could buy their souvenirs. I mean, you have to innovate. And as I said, you have to bring the things into the hotel as much as you can. At the same time, giving small providers, you know, like those craft vendors who came in, and we had jewelry displays, we had fashion. They were able now to get, you know, some business from the visitors that we had, both local persons who came in for the events as well as international travelers. So you really have to think through the whole process and make the visitor experience still feel like they came to Jamaica and they were able to experience, you know, some of the activities. Because, you know, we usually say, you know, you go out and, you know, experience Kingston, the heartbeat of Jamaica, but now we kind of have to bring more of Kingston into the hotel,
Of course.
and give them that experience. You know, of course, while you're doing that, we hope that, you know, that won't be forever. You know, as soon as we can get back to some sense of normality, it would be great. But you have to innovate. And as Robin said, it's, you know, we are doing the same thing, the takeout menus. We have advanced check-in where you do everything online with your registration and fill that out. So you're using more technology, delivery services, all the tools in your toolbox. You're just trying everything, and some of them are working very well, and you will continue them as you go forward.
Okay.
And I'm kind of interested in your outlook for the future. How long do you think this will last, this downturn? And are you still planning to open your fourth property? Are you still going ahead with that?
The project is still going ahead. Construction is going ahead as we speak. I think, I mean, based on, it took us 2 years plus to survive up, you know, to come back to pre 9/11 and the pre downturn in the financial outlook. As you know, UNWTO and other similar industries like the UNTAG report has says Jamaica is going to be the first affected, and that's really because of our deep linkages. But I think if we get certain things, we continue to do our protocols. If the US kind of gets their situation under control, the projections are by the international experts, and I'm no expert on this, they're looking at Q1, Q2 2023 to return to pre-COVID levels. But that doesn't mean we won't see a much better uptick come Q1 2021. Flights are coming every week. We get increased flights. As I said, there is pent-up demand. If we keep our situation on the ground in Jamaica in check, that makes us seem to be a safe destination, so we'll be attractive to persons looking to travel. So we just have to work together in partnership, private sector, government, suppliers to the industry, our financiers, our local population. Everybody has to just work together, because it's critical to make sure that, you know, we have a strong recovery in the shortest possible time. But to be honest, it's going to be a long haul. It's in that 2 year, 3 year before we can return to pre-COVID levels. Because it's just worldwide. So every single international destination is fighting for that tourist dollar. And, you know, you're having consolidation with the airlines, the tour operators, you know, so it's going to be hard. But, you know, I think we're up for it, right, Robin?
I think Jamaica is poised to really take advantage of where we are and what we have done. You know, when you see the pent-up demand in the United States, in Canada, and these places, because we're not long-haul flights from these destinations.
Yes.
It makes us very popular. I've seen guests that have come to Jamaica and have started to not want to be a part of the protocol. So they come and they don't want to wear the mask. But when they see why we're wearing a mask and that everybody's doing it, they're the ones out of place, and they will start to conform. You know, it might not be the first day, but after a while of sanitizing and having to wear the mask, you see them naturally starting to do it. And if we can continue with this, I think Jamaica will become even more popular than we are now. And 2 years is a far way away, Nicola, to be bouncing back. I don't know if my bank's going to.
No, I'm not saying, I'm not expert. I'm just following what they say.
I know that's what they're saying, but why we have to hope it will come a little sooner.
But you know, yeah.
Return to full pre-COVID
I know.
levels we were at in 2019. But I think we'll obviously have growth and return. We may not be at the same level as 2019, but we may be at a 2017 level, which was pretty good.
That was pretty good. I can remember 2017.
2019 was a phenomenal year. So, you know,
Right.
it's still, we still have, you know, growth ahead of us. So that's a good thing.
Nicola, you used the term earlier, and I think it was maybe the first time you spoke, that tourism is one of those more resilient industries. Robin, I would say that Montego Bay is also a resilient city. I am a Montegonian, as Robin knows, and I remember when we lost the world's premier reggae festival, we didn't miss a beat. What I think it was the last year or this year, you actually then had the celebration of the 25th anniversary of Reggae Sumfest, which is, it just demonstrates the resilience of, you know, I think that Jamaica understands, and I think that resort destinations and key players, key stakeholders understand the importance of tourism. We've seen where, and I mentioned, you know, just how Reggae Sumfest was born because of that particular situation there as a matter of resilience. And we know what the reports are saying, Nicola, that you mentioned. That's what the reports are saying. However, I think it's within the spirit of the Jamaican people, and definitely based on the industry and our own experiences, our own creativity, that we can become more resilient. So strategically, what are some ideas, suggestions? Is there an appeal to a particular industry of how you move forward, or any ideas to emerge from this? Because let's not look at the UNCTAD report and those numbers.
No, actually, the UNCTAD report should not be seen as a negative thing, and I'm going to tell you why. Because of our linkages, right?
That's the thing, they're so deep.
WTCC said, you know, we have 41 cents out of every dollar, which was a 36% increase. So if tourism starts to recover, that means the rest of the economy recovers.
Right.
So it's not to be looked at as a negative that we are so deeply linked.
Right.
So our recovery means recovery for every other industry.
Right.
So for me, it's how do we recover faster, and
which is exactly the question. How do we shorten that window?
Well, one of the things is ensuring that we maintain what we're doing now and continue to do it well, which is offering superior products, great variety, you know, from small villas, attractions, the guest houses, the all-inclusive, the EP hotels, all of that variety which Jamaica is known for. Continuing to ensure brand Jamaica is prominent. You know, we work very closely with Jamaica Tourist Board, all of us. We're constantly on the road. We're still doing marketing, virtual fam trips, beating the travel agent. You know, we're not stopping the marketing train. It's going full speed. Just continue to let people know Jamaica is here and Jamaica is ready for you. As you said, the Sumfest experience, I was actually living in Montego Bay at that time and working at Half Moon. I think that's where I met you, Ali.
Probably.
But yeah, we are innovative people. We're creative people, and you know, we have to use all the tools in our toolbox to continue to market. You know, the Beanie Man bounty vibes thing, and a big boost for brand Jamaica.
Of course.
Anything that keeps us top of mind, we need to do, because as Robin was, as we said, once that pent-up demand can be met, once people know, say, okay, I can really travel now, you know, we want them to choose Jamaica first. And we want to ensure that our product is maintained. That's another thing that's critical, that all the assets we have in terms of the hotel, the block and steel part of it, those hotels, those attractions, all of the industry, the shops, everything, nobody falls under, nobody ends up having to shut the doors permanently, because the only way to really go back to full capacity is to have all those assets still in play and able to be ready to take that demand up. So I think as I said before, it's continuing to work aggressively as private sector and government, looking for those opportunities, whether, as I said, with the US being banned by nearly every other country in the world. That's fantastic for us who are still welcoming them. We just have to make sure that we keep our protocols strong so that, we can make sure that when they come in, there is no risk and the risk mitigation measures are in place. So I look at it from that point of view that the opportunities are vast. And once we keep the product at the level and we have sustainability, we are ready to move. I think we said that in the JTB promotion. We are ready.
Yeah. The name, Jamaica's name has been mentioned a lot in the last 2 days since the announcement of Kamala Harris as the running mate. And it just speaks to the strength of the brand. I think that will burnish our brand, providing that, when they visit here to look at her background, that we are ready for that. But is there anything that you think the government can be doing at this time, to anything additionally that the government should be doing right now to either promote our brand more or to help the industry in any way from a financial, economic standpoint?
And I would like to just add to what Nicola said. I think just like how the businesses have looked internally at how to improve, I think us as an industry should use this opportunity to improve our product. So we need to also look at what our harassment and deal with it now that we have smaller numbers, and I think we need to look at our crime, because these are the things that really affect tourism in Jamaica.
Yes,
we
definitely.
can use the opportunity now to address just 3 issues. Keeping COVID at some level by community involvement and everybody monitoring each other. And we take that across the entire nation. Look at harassment and look at the person beside you. Is that person harassing? Look at crime. Let's get involved to get our crime levels down. And then Jamaica looks shiny and clean at the end of this. We will be a star at the end of all of it.
Absolutely share that view. And we shouldn't forget, especially in the area of crime, and which is what drove the all-inclusive concept, and I think it has worked against us in many respects. Do you see any change because of COVID? Do you see any change in that whole all-inclusive concept versus EP emerging in the industry?
I don't think so, Ian. I mean, we worked hard to come away from, people being locked behind the doors, and the attraction segment has grown phenomenally over the years. So a lot of people do come to all-inclusive, but as Robin said earlier, they don't come to stay in a hotel. They want to get out and visit the attractions and go into the community and, go to Stush in the Bush, because they, that's a great. We have, put on my other hat on the linkages and gastronomy. We've spent a lot of time and energy promoting all the other things you can do when you come to Jamaica. We shouldn't lose that. That's why it's important that we are able to maintain safe levels outside of the resort area and outside of the hotels within the communities, because community tourism and going into these really unique and quaint places all over the island, going up into the Blue Mountains or somewhere in the Grill, is a part of the Jamaica experience, and we don't want to lose that. So, to persons in the communities, it's key that, we all are responsible and, follow the protocols, wear our masks, keep that, don't have no community spread, and really get our numbers down, that anybody coming to Jamaica will feel comfortable going anywhere on the island, and those communities and those small entrepreneurs out there will continue to get business, because that's what we want. It's not just about the formal sector, we've always promoted everything. I mean, the pudding man he has been so famous and as a part of the JTB campaigns and get good business. So we want that. We want that level. We as hoteliers, we promote that. For Kingston properties or in Montego Bay, we tell our guests about these things and say, get out there and experience it. So it's important.
I mean, Ian, just to add to what Nicola said, I recently was last weekend, I went on the South Coast and I went to Floyd's Pelican Bar.
Oh,
and that's
nice.
just an experience.
Yes.
And
Yes.
while there, I met a young lady. She manages around 6 villas on the South Coast.
Yes.
And she's telling me that all her villas are booked until November.
Great.
Oh,
Great.
lovely. Excellent.
Great.
So,
That's great news.
Jamaica has diversified from all-inclusive resorts to just a multi-faceted destination, where people can go to villas, they can go to small houses, they can rent a room. And we've no longer just been known as an all-inclusive resort. No, all-inclusive still dominate the numbers. So that airflow, to get the air seats into Jamaica and to get the real numbers, you need big properties. But I think everybody has the opportunity to take advantage of Jamaica.
Lovely. I mean, that's great news. That's welcome news. I mean, before we wrap, I would really love to hear, do we know what's happening to all those workers who have been laid off? And, are we in touch with them to bring them back at some point? How is that going?
Well, I mean, we are in touch with all our workers for all our hotels. We, of course, have up to, I think, a good 2-3 months, we're still paying our staff at a percentage of their salary to try and give them support. And a lot of hotels have tried to do that. It's not necessarily sustainable for a long period of time, but we try to do that, as well as, we have worked with some persons we know who are in really dire straits and giving them care packages as an ongoing part of our support. And what we've been trying to do is rotate persons in. So while not everybody can come back to work, we rotate and, give people an opportunity to earn. And a lot of hotels have been doing that. As Robin said, we're running between 50 to 30% occupancy. I mean, people are jumping up. Hoteliers are happy when they hit a 35%. And,
yes.
To break even, you have to be up like in 65% occupancy.
Yes.
So we're losing money, but we had to start the engine.
Yes.
Had to get going. So I think it's I'm sure Robin and knows many hotels. We surely have been at the GHT talking to all our different hoteliers, and they have been reaching out to their team members, keeping them informed, trying to rotate them through and allow persons to get some element of work. Not in all cases, because for some hotels, they haven't opened back. We have hotels that won't open back until October. So those who are open or partially open are trying to do the best they can, but it's a lot of people out on the streets, and it's heartbreaking, but we're trying to see how best we can assist.
Yeah, and I think we will. So I know, Ian, you said you were going to wrap, and I think it's very encouraging hearing that the numbers are moving. It might be 20 to 30% occupancy. However, that's still good. People are getting out there. Saw a lot on the weekend where you had a peak in that. Well, it seemed to me staycations. Robin, you were mentioning before we went live that you had an increase in the number of people that were there on the weekend, locals. And I think it's good to continue to encourage Jamaicans to support our tourism product. We've been talking about buying local. It definitely extends to tourism.
Stay local. That's the new buzzword.
Stay local.
So it really helps. You spoke about maintaining the assets, and people, if they stay open, it helps with that infrastructure and keeping assets going. So I really hope that Jamaicans continue to go out. You mentioned Stush in the Bush, Nicola. Interestingly, was there this Sunday that just went by, and your restaurant was mentioned as one of the best. Should I mention which the restaurant in which hotel? One of the best places for Jamaican food. Courtleigh and Kingston. They were talking about just how great, and I was like, I said to someone, you didn't know that, but the word is getting out. So for people to get out and support the industries, and always there is definitely get out and go to Pier 1 when you're in Montego Bay. Excellent food. Love some of the things on the menu there. And what I will say, as you see the ticker going across when it says home away from home, it truly is. My experience there is that the staff, they really made sure that they took care of you. and this is without knowing who you are or who you may know, kind of thing. So I'd say it's true. So I just want to really encourage Jamaicans to continue to support our tourism industry, get creative, for corporations, industries to collaborate with the GHD and the hotels to keep them open, keep them going, using the venues, for different things. So thank you so much, guys. Thanks for the hope, the encouragement. Tourism continues to lead. We have good leaders in tourism, and there's a history of resilience, and we know that will definitely continue. So really appreciate that, and we're going to continue to go out and support the industry. Continue though to share with us all the places that we ought to go, and all of that good stuff. Just another plug for Deja.
Should run a competition, Arlene, and to see how many people before the end of the year could go to as many Jamaican resorts and attractions.
Yes.
So, all right, I'm putting in my hat. I'm putting in my hat because one of these weekends I'm supposed to be chasing the sun, which is to start with the sunrise on the east, and then the same day go all the way to sunset. We've done it before. We did it 2 years ago. We were supposed to, really great. So but that would be a great thing if more people actually did that and stopped at and that's what we did. We stopped at different places for the different experience. So Ian, you are challenged. Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. You have to run a competition.
We are behind that to really support Jamaica.
Yes.
I can tell you that the experience is just great. I really feel we had an occasion in July to be at a villa, and the lady who was the housekeeper, she said it was the first time she was earning anything since March. And it really made me understand the impact that we Jamaicans can have on the industry, especially at this time. I'm so heartened by your presence here today, Nicola, Madden-Greig from Courtleigh, and Robin Russell from Deja Resort, because you guys are just you're just displaying how resilient you are. You're on the front line in very difficult circumstances, subsidizing the business in many respects, but keeping Jamaica open, which is so important for all of us, and especially Jamaica, because there are so many linkages and there are so many transportation people. The vendors, the craft people, the souvenirs, all the related in banking, everybody. I mean, we're all depending on you, every single industry. And so anything that we can do to support, especially from the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. And I really want to thank Arlene from Action Coach, because we really feel that it's a together thing. All of us have to get together to get Jamaica going again. And we really look forward to greater days. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. Okay, and all the best.
All the best.
Bye.
Bye-bye.